In Hybrid, I'm Karl Spring here at howiehansen.com, howieblog.com, Facebook, and YouTube. And of course, in Duluth next week, big election on Tuesday, and I encourage you to go vote, be educated, and go vote, of course, on Tuesday. With me here is Keith Dixon, Superintendent of Schools. How are you doing,
Karl,
Keith?
good to see you.
So we're getting down to the crunch time here,
Yes.
last weekend before the election. And of course, you've been under the gun for the last couple of years here now, of course. Whether you support the red plan, Plan B, whatever plan, people should be educated so they know at least what they're voting or not voting for. And as we head into the last weekend, what are some things people should know about the long-range facilities plan that maybe they don't know about yet?
Well, that's been a concern all along. You know, when people say I'm against the plan, I'll say, could I help you or tell me something specific? I find that a lot of our citizenry is uninformed. And so I think the first thing to say is, if you still have time, go on our website. There's a complete outline of our plan and what the detail is that may help you even in the last few days here. But I think fundamentally, let's start with the fact that we have to do something. The reality is this has been a challenge in this community for over 30 years. And I think the reality, we know that our population has declined in Duluth substantially. We've got more schools than we need. It really takes a lot of extra resources to keep a school open. And so we need to do something. And I think that's where this plan started. And when I came, was that everyone knows that we needed to cross this bridge somehow. And I think that's the key to it, that we simply have to look at the number of schools we have. And the other important thing I think gets lost is when enrollment goes down, the number of courses we can offer in a school goes down, because it takes a critical mass of students to offer a course in a high school particularly, or a middle school. And our principals have testified the number of courses we've lost as high school enrollments declined. So yes, there's a lot to be said about small schools, but the reality is schools of about 1,500, which is what we're proposing, can offer the maximum in terms of curriculum. And I think that's an important piece to know.
Now, something just recently, this week, that was in the news is the fact that you guys really are on board with the local teachers union, and you haven't always had that, it sounds like. How has that come to pass?
That's correct. I think anyone that's been here for decades knows that the history with Duluth, particularly with teachers, has been a rocky journey. Most of the time adversarial. And first of all, I appreciate the leadership of the teachers union. When I came, we sat down together and really said, is this working for management? Is it working for the teachers? And the answer was certainly no. And I think, first of all, we can agree on some things we could agree on. Number one is, you know, teachers really want fair compensation and fair benefit. Certainly management wants that to happen too. We may disagree at times on what fair looks like, but that's something we share. Teachers certainly want to have a voice in what's going on in the school district. They have good ideas. They want to be a player. They want to be a participant at the table in terms of coming up with solutions. And certainly that's good for us as well. I've always said that happy employees that feel good about where they work and what they do every day translates into productivity in the classroom. You know, last year in our survey of staff, 92% of our staff said they enjoyed working for Duluth Public Schools.
That's pretty
That's
high.
very high.
Yeah.
And I think it's been us being able to sit down together and start looking at a model where we simply say we form what we call the Quality Steering Committee, where we sit down each month and we identify issues together that are challenging for both the union and for us. We've been able to solve all those issues through problem solving. You know, you really don't do a good job of problem solving at the negotiations table. That really has to take place in an ongoing process, and we've been able to establish that. So the last few years, we've been able to really solve all our issues together. We've been able to have contracts put together reasonably, even before the present contract has been expires. And what that also translates into in the classroom is teachers aren't sitting out there saying, I wonder what's going on with the contract, and are we going to have to go out on strike, or what are we going to have to do to put pressure on management? You just take all that away so we can really focus on the art of teaching, what's going on in the classroom. And as a result of that, we're spending a lot more time with teachers now working on how do we improve our curriculum, how do we improve instructional strategy, what are we going to do to close the achievement gap, and where teachers are sitting together with us having real conversation. So I'd like to say we've been able to take off the pretense, the masks. We've been able to get out of these power struggles and just sit down together and solve problems together. And I think that's translated into real benefit for students in the classroom and for the community.
Now, there's been talk about a Plan B. Now, that's different from the red plan in that it seems like Plan B costs more but actually provides less. Is that kind of the case, or how do you perceive this whole Plan B idea?
You know, that is accurate. The reality is the plan does, on a monthly basis, cost more than our plan. And the reality is, I think about it this way. Yes, we do about $300 million worth of work. This plan does about $200 million of work. So in a way, you suddenly say, well, obviously, our plan is doing more. The other thing is we're closing a number of buildings where their plan really keeps open the majority of buildings. So you're spreading that $200 million over more buildings, where ours is really focused in less buildings. And so really, when I look at their plan, and I've studied it, we had to submit it to the Department of Education. It really is a plan it's fundamentally different. It's about really patching up and fixing up the schools we have and keep all of them open. Our plan is a much, in my view, a plan that really deals with equity across the district, that says regardless of where a student lives, they're going to have a high-quality learning environment that's safe, that offers the up-to-date technology, that also provides the most comprehensive learning environment we can provide for kids, regardless of where they live across the whole community. So they're really different in their philosophy and their nature.
Now, the LFRP or the red plan, work is already happening. In fact, I drive by Ordine School all the time, where two of my kids were last year, and there's construction going on there. That will be the new Eastern High School then, right?
That's correct.
So now, will that be 1 or 2 years construction there?
2 years. Both
Okay.
those schools are scheduled to open, while Denfeld will be finished in that school for 2 years from now. And I think that's another important piece is, yes, there are pieces yet to be bid out, but if I look at Ordine as an example, we're down to one bid package to having that school 100% bid. The Eastern Middle School that would be at the present East is 100% bid at this point. Denfeld has one bid package left to be 100% under contract and bid as well. So the reality is some of these schools are a long way along in terms of trying to change direction, because the work has already started and they're under contract virtually 100% of the building.
As we go into just the last couple of days before the elections on Tuesday, is there something you want people to know, you want to get out there and say, here's what you need to know before Tuesday regarding, the school board or the red plan? Is there something you want to get out there that people just have to keep in mind?
Well, I know there's been a lot of emotion, and I would say I understand that, but step back for a minute now and get past that emotion and stay for a minute. Objectively, when we look at the future of Duluth Public Schools, where do you want it to go? And what I would say is, do we want to continue to move forward? I do believe we need to get through this and do some healing and move forward. Do we want to do that and continue the course in terms of what we've done on program in this district and those kinds of things? Or really, this other choice, I believe, is going to move us back towards chaos and indecision, and once again, sort of back into this melee, and we won't know what's going to come out of this. And so I do think that's the fundamental choice now. Are we going to move on, move forward with the work that's getting done here, or where are we going to go from here? And I think the consequences are devastating if we don't continue the present course.
Well, and I have 4 kids in the Duluth Public School District, and I support the red plan. And I don't say that because you're here, but just as a parent, and we've got 2 boys, 2 girls in Duluth Public Schools, and I think it's the way to go. And I would say that whether you're here or not. But I guess the one thing I want to say is that be educated and go vote on Tuesday, no matter what the weather forecast is like. All right? So Keith, thanks for being here today.
Oh,
Keith
thank
Dixon.
you for the time.
You bet. Superintendent of Schools, Duluth School District. And I'm Karl Spring here for HowieHanson.com, HowieBlog.com, Facebook, and YouTube. So go vote on Tuesday. Thanks for being here and have a good day.